I had my dream natural home birth. Everything was beautiful, and then 3 weeks later, I'm in the hospital and nobody knows what's wrong with me. Hi, I'm Kayla. I'm a stay-at-home mom who's skeptical of the status quo, and I've been sharing my journey to motherhood. This is part 4 of my birth series, and we're already at the postpartum period. If you missed how I got here, you'll probably want to start from the beginning. Or not. You're the one in control. If you're still here, I'm sharing the highs and lows of my postpartum journey, and there were some surprises. So let's get into it. The first night was quite a ride. It's all a bit of a blur, honestly. Hormones had shifted, and I feel like I was on a completely different planet. Time kind of stopped, and each day muddled into the next. Looking back, it feels like a memory from a whole different lifetime. My energy was up despite not getting much sleep, but I was finding breastfeeding hard. It was difficult to get a good latch. Despite being uncomfortable for a little bit, I did have my postpartum home visit. The midwife really helped me get a good latch and shared some techniques that I had obviously forgotten from the courses I had taken. Everything just flies out the window once you're really into it.
Of course, young lady, have a look at this for me, please.
Fun fact before I continue, my birth was the first of 5 that my midwife and her student attended in that same 36-hour period. That's just the power of the full moon, I guess. It was also Labor Day weekend, very powerful combo. The colostrum breastfeeding wasn't too bad once I got the hang of it, but on day 3 when my milk came in, my boobs felt like rocks. The side boobs felt so swollen. I was using cold towels, hot towels, and I hesitated to use a pump, but at one point I couldn't do it. Apparently it can increase your milk supply, but I was in pain. I just needed to get that milk out. Particularly in the beginning and even sporadically for the first year of breastfeeding, sometimes my little one, she would just unlatch and it would be like a hose or a sprinkler that just gone off. I shot my couch, I shot the walls, I even shot her in the eyes a couple times. Like, I feel bad, but what am I supposed to do? It's like crazy. I didn't understand the physiology of breastfeeding before I started. It was way more wild than I thought it would be. I thought it would be just like peaceful holding your baby, but this was intense. I keep going like this. The boobs have power. I had cloths in my pockets, in every drawer in the house. I slept on a towel for I don't know how long. I guess probably until I stopped waking up in a puddle. At the beginning, it felt so awkward to put this tiny human at my breast. I had to hold her so tightly with 2 hands. I was afraid I would drop her or break her. And then eventually I got so comfortable. I'm just walking around the house, making breakfast. It just takes some time to build up the strength and the confidence to hold your baby. And also your baby needs to build the confidence and the strength to hold onto a latch instead of just kind of falling off the boob all the time. You don't need to hold them as tightly into place. You kind of learn together. When I took the time to just bask in the moment of breastfeeding, it was so beautiful to look down at my baby girl and say like, wow, I really am a mom. I am feeding this child, this human I created with my own body. How amazing is this? And the tiny little gulp sounds made my heart feel so full. And I often felt just so relaxed feeding her. It was a nice moment of peace that we shared together. I believe it was the second night that we settled on the name of Althea. We had a short list of boys' and girls' names, but we knew that Althea was the name. It suited her best. Althea means healer. It's also the marshmallow plant, which is a type of hibiscus that's used in herbal medicine. There are a lot of baby products out there, and you can spend months racking your brain about what to buy. But honestly, in that first stretch, all baby really needs is sleep, milk, and you. The last 2 you probably have covered, but if you need help with the sleep part, I strongly suggest investing in a sleep nest. Whether you decide to co-sleep or not, babies still sleep a whole bunch during the day, so you're gonna need an easy place to set them down. And if you're like me, you prefer to invest in quality over quantity. Home of Wool offers customizable bedding options made from natural materials. Whether you need a bassinet mattress, crib mattress, or you are looking into a sleep nest, you can customize size and materials to suit your needs and budget. I've saved you a few steps already. There is a link in the description where you can go straight to the baby section on Home of Wool, and with the code MAMAINTHEWILD, you get 10% off your purchase. Say no to mass-produced petroleum-based bedding and say yes to custom quality that will last. One purchase today can be used by multiple children over multiple generations with proper care. Home of Wool takes cues from nature, bringing healthy materials back into the home. So click the link below, get your discount, customized to suit your needs, and of course, enjoy the snuggles. The first few weeks with my little girl were so special. Everything I'd usually worry about, think about, spend time doing was gone, and it was just her and I. And my husband, of course. But I have to say, becoming a mother for the first time made me kind of forget about the other relationship that I needed to maintain.
But when will I see you again?
Oh, never, never.
Never?
It's tough to find a balance, especially when your hormones are driving you to just pay attention to your child and that's it. You've got the horse blinders on telling you, baby, 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 and your husband's there like, hi, I exist too. Sorry, love. In the first 2 weeks, we had a series of quick visits from close relatives. Despite postpartum bleeding and some general tenderness, I felt really good. I wasn't in much pain, but the problem was my body wasn't telling me to slow down and relax. I felt like Superwoman after my home birth. I should have spent more time in bed. I should have asked for more help. I shouldn't have told my husband, sure, change the bathroom sink. Like, I felt so great and I wasn't thinking straight. I shouldn't have gone on those little walks, but it was so sunny and beautiful and everything was so perfect.
Everything's going so well!
By week 3, I was burnt out. I had a lot of heaviness in my pelvic area and I wasn't comfortable sitting up to breastfeed, getting up at night. It just wasn't going so well anymore. One night at the end of week 3, I woke up and I was in a lot of pain. The pain was coming in like contractions. And suddenly it felt like I was almost giving birth again. I got into the bathtub because I didn't know how to manage the pain. I also had an uptick in bleeding, and despite it being the middle of the night, eventually my husband and I just called the midwife and she suggested that we go to the hospital. My husband tried to quickly pack up everything we needed. We had the little one with us, then we were in the waiting room. We were taken to a private room fairly rapidly where I was able to lie down and wait for the doctor. Althea was hungry, so we tried to feed her with the bottle, but that just didn't work. So I was grateful to be already in a room where I could lie down and feed her despite the pain. The doctors could tell I was very uncomfortable, so they offered me some pain medications, which I refused because I was breastfeeding and I didn't really trust that my system would be able to filter out medication, so I just grinned and bared it. I had 2 doctors take a look at me, and upon inspection they said, yeah, there was some blood coming out, but they couldn't even see where. Unfortunately, there was no gynecologist on staff, so we had to transfer to another hospital, which was half an hour away. I have to mention that my husband was such a warrior through all of this. Even my daughter was so calm and quiet, which made everything way easier. At the second hospital, we waited a while, and then I was in the middle of breastfeeding again when they called my name. I went to triage and they told me I had to stop breastfeeding right away and make my way to imaging for an ultrasound, or I would lose my place. I was getting my ultrasound, and for the first time in hours, Althea was crying and crying. She was inconsolable, and I'm just lying there on the table. It was torture to listen to her cry and have no power to do anything about it. Finally, the exam was over. I was able to feed her, and we calmly packed up our things and went on our way. Then we had to wait for the gynecologist to see us. She was only able to conjecture that I may have had a cyst burst. By now, I wasn't in pain anymore, but we left for home without answers. Only a follow-up appointment scheduled 4 weeks away. At that appointment, I was inspected again, and the gynecologist told me I have a transverse vaginal septum, which is a birth anomaly that I never knew about. The pressure I had felt was due to blood pooling behind the tissue, and once the blood was gone, there was no more pressure. Would this change my life or future pregnancies? Apparently not. After that, I was just sent on my way with nothing else to go off of. Life was back to normal. If I had known about this previously, maybe I would have been able to manage the blood flow at home and wouldn't have needed to go to the hospital at all. But You live, you learn. I really had no idea. This just wasn't a waited out situation. And it's really important that if something's going on with your body that just doesn't feel right, to seek help and take action. So everything was back to normal and we were enjoying the learning process. Our sweet little girl was such a dream come true. And I was more conscious about getting proper rest. There are so many things I learned during this period. I learned how strong I am. I learned how hard becoming parents really is. I learned about the importance of balancing your relationships during such a pivotal life shift. I also learned how much I love my husband. And I learned that motherhood brings incomparable profundity and meaning to your life. You don't really know until you know. I would do a dramatic fade to black right now, but this series isn't over yet. Stay tuned for a bonus to this series where I talk about my experience eating my own placenta. You don't want to miss it. Until next time, stay wild.